because we always feel we could have done more. Let this be the year that, inshallah, we feel we can do and maximize it and donate in prayers, donate in money, and donate in time to your chosen charity, inshallah.
So this is a reminder to all of us that we've only got very few days left, and I cannot even imagine the month has gone by so quick. 30 days, it's just flashed by, hasn't it?
It certainly is the case. We say every year, Brother Zed, that, where has the days gone? Where has the month gone? And indeed, where is our life going? And you and I have been here for a little while in this country, and we've seen how fast and expediently the time has gone. And we look back, what we're going to leave behind is, I think, the most important thing.
Of course, now, I'm going to now remind you all, Brother Shaukat, he's a prominent member in our community. Apart from his daytime job, he's also very, very active in community engagement. Some of the projects that he has taken on with the organization called MEND. Just remind our listeners, what is the meaning of MEND?
MEND is Muslim Engagement and Development, and you correctly said it's a community organization, community-funded organization that is passionate about tackling hate, and particularly passionate in tackling Islamophobia, so that our sisters, our brothers, and all Muslims are feeling safe and productive members of our community.
Of course, that reminds me straight away about the sister in Beaumont-Leys who was run down by a very radical racist. Do you remember that 2 years ago?
It was a little bit longer, and that was one of the main cases that, alhamdulillah, myself and my team took a very active part in.
Now, maybe it's longer, maybe 5 years ago, but to me, it's still in my mind as yesterday.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the sister who suffered, who got run over not just once but twice by, as you rightfully said, a right-wing thug, is still bearing the scars psychologically. She still finds it very difficult to travel outside, and she is mostly on a wheelchair. But she's very strong, mashallah, and she's always giving du'as to the community who supported her at that very, very difficult time.
Of course, we can spend a whole month here sitting about every single incident that has taken place throughout the country. And there is many incidents. You go to London, you go to Manchester, throughout the country we have incidents of Islamophobia whereby they are not being addressed. We have to make a noise. We have to wake up to the reality that we in the community are responsible for all our sisters. When our sisters are assaulted, their hijabs are being pulled down, they are being pushed down the stairs. That one video we've constantly seen where a sister, a white thug has come and he's pushed her down the stairs, kicked her. Now these are scenes that in 2023, do we need this kind of behavior from our community?
Yeah, that's a heartbreaking scene, but as you say, there's a catalogue of them. But Brother Zaid, if I may say so, that is the physical manifestation of Islamophobia on the streets by what I would call probably the low-level thug on the street. But there are many countless incidents that we work in. Is the sister with a hijab or a brother with a beard who in the workplace, for example, is overlooked promotion, is overlooked an expansion of a pay rise. And continuously we're working with cases like this. We work with the nurse in the NHS, we work with brothers in the postal services, and we fought for these individuals. And it transpires that this is not crying wolf, but it's simply because there happen to be Muslims or overtly Muslims in appearance that they have been overlooked and overseen and repressed in their progression. So there's many forms and manifestations of Islamophobia. The violence on the streets and to the more subtle and nuanced. And we see it played out virtually every single day.
Now, all my brothers and sisters, you're listening in right now, you may not have the data that Brother Shaukat has. Now, I want to ask you a question, Brother Shaukat. Is racism, has it declined or has it increased over the last 23 years from the year 2000 onwards?
In terms of Islamophobia, unfortunately, has only been recorded for the last few years because Islamophobia wasn't seen as a separate hate crime. But I can talk to you specifically on figures that were produced by the Home Office last year. We make up roughly 5 to 6% of the UK population, Brother Zed. Yet we were the victims of just under 50% of all hate crimes, religiously motivated hate crimes in 2021 and 2022. So despite being only 5% or 6% of the population, nearly all recorded hate crimes was committed against Muslims. The other factor that we have to acknowledge that many people don't report it, I had always remember a sister once told me that, Shokabai, if you want me to report every time I get verbally abused, that's all I'll be doing all day, because she wears a niqab in an unfamiliar community that is not used to it. So it's completely under-recorded, and those figures are for England and Wales. So unfortunately, because they're being recorded, they are on the rise.
Of course, a massive operation, task, whatever you wish to call it, is required, because this cannot continue like this, because the aftermath of every single crime, the aftermath has long-lasting, damaging effects upon the whole wider community. The hatred, the distrust, the lack of confidence with the establishment, with the institutions, with the police, it increases by the community. So this is a big, huge problem. Brother Shaukat, we have to address this collectively.
Absolutely. And I have seen disenfranchisement, as you've just suggested, Brother Zed, from a 4-year-old boy who was unfortunately picked out at school for being, for potential problems with his behavior, for being very Islamic, who stopped speaking. So from such a young age, he's disenfranchised. We have people who are going to colleges and universities who don't feel part of the system because they feel their Islam is being picked upon, so they feel disenfranchised from society. We are losing people along the way. As you say, when they are a victim of a crime, they not just only feel victim at the time, but they feel disassociated from the greater society. And it's a loss for society and a loss for them, and it creates an us and them narrative, and that is very harmful for the whole of society.
Of course it is, and these issues have to be addressed collectively. So we are in the city of Leicester today. Predominantly we are talking about the conditions of our people in Leicester. When I say our people, I mean everybody in the city, in the county, because it affects everybody. Now, we have to go forward to bring awareness. We have to step up on awareness of all these wrongdoings that happen in our community, to bring other communities on board as well, and not just leave it to be, oh, this is a Muslim problem because this is an Islamic problem. We need to all come together to find a solution, a meaningful solution to these problems. Otherwise, the data currently is saying that we have an increase of hate crimes.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're absolutely right. We have to work as a collective. We have to work as a united community. And for one very quick example, and you're very, very familiar more than most, Brother Zed, is the cricket institution. With the Azim Rafiq case, of those who are just listening and not aware, he was a victim of hatred, of Islamophobia, of racism. But that affects every person of color. So we cannot just take that as a solitary Muslim problem, but we have to work with all our communities, whether they be of no faith or the Hindu faith or the Sikh faith, and because it's a problem facing all of them. And there's other things as well that are affecting our schools, the teaching of our children. This is not just a problem that's going to be affecting the Muslim community, but also the Christian community, also the Orthodox Jewish community. We have to find commonality, work together, and tackle hate wherever it arises.
Well, each year we discuss this matter about our common factor. What is our common factor? Is our humanity, how we have to work together. We are a city predominant in the immigrant population here. We have the A to Z of the immigrant population here from across the world. We are today a global city, aren't we?
Yeah, we certainly are, yes. Speak more languages than probably any other city in the country.
Exactly. A for Afghanistan, S for Somali, Z for Zimbabwe. And why? Why for? Yemen. So this is, we can go on right till A to Z, and to integrate all these communities together, what is one common factor that we all have? Our humanity. So brothers and sisters, if you want to share some of your thoughts, some of your ideas, some of your experiences, then do contact us here. You can either call in on 0116 4822 or you can call on text our mobile as well, 077 488 55055. And we'd love to hear from you to share some of your incidents that you've had. In fact, if you look at incidents across institutions, establishments, and everyday on the street incidents, you will run out of paper if you record them all. But this data is absolutely important. If you've ever experienced any incident whatsoever, you have to report it.
It's absolutely essential, Brother Zed, because that is the only way we can present it to the government when we're passing legislation. When we want to say, look, we are as a community being victims of certain crimes, they'll say, where's your figures? We've got no statistics to show that Muslim women are being attacked or Muslim children are being on the way to school, or people at work are not getting promoted. There's nothing that we can do, because in this country there's very different legislation for crime, for hate against religion and race. So what we're trying to do as a community, we don't have the time to go through it, but as an organization, is to balance it. Look, as Muslims, we don't want to be treated special. We don't want to be treated better than anybody else. We just want to be on parity with everybody else. So therefore, if anybody is a victim of any form of hate crime, report it to the police, report it to the Islamophobia response unit as well, and make sure the authorities are aware.
And they can also bring awareness to MEND of
Yes,
that.
yeah, absolutely.
incident.
MEND and the Islamophobia response unit. Just contact us on mend.org.uk. You have our details on there, and we will follow it up. And if nothing else, we will report it to the police. And then when the government is asking for figures, we will present them. And then when we're asking for legislative changes, we can give real case examples. Look, this is what is happening, and hence why we need further changes.
So we have a situation here. If there are 90 of us together on the same page, and there are 10 people who want to disrupt, is very difficult for them.
Absolutely.
We can only overcome hate crime, Islamophobia, racism, if we all come together.
Absolutely. Look, this is the perfect example given to us by other communities. You know, they have got together and they have presented and they have involved themselves in every fabric of society in terms of media, in terms of arts, in terms of politics. Very, very briefly, Brother Zaid, if I can just tell you that, you know, the LGBTQ community, in 1967, it was illegal to be homosexual in this country. Up till that point, it was illegal. You couldn't even join the army till the 80s. And yet, due to their hard work and due to their reporting, due to their advocacy work, due to the policy work, due to the working with the media, with the politics, they've completely changed the fabric of this society within 20 to 30 years. So therefore, even now we may think that although we can't do anything as a Muslim community. As you say, if we get united and we work within the framework of the legal framework of this country, we can change the dynamics and we can make people understand that, look, as equally it is to be wrong to be racist, as equally as it's wrong to be homophobic, as equally as it's wrong to be anti-Semitic, it's equally wrong to be Islamophobic as well.
Now, recently you mentioned about the September incident when we had infiltrators come into our community and they caused a lot of uproar, which has taken us 10 steps back or even 20 steps back. So this here was a situation where even people in the county did not understand what's going on in the city, where one community is marching against another community, making a protest, and in the process, a lot of arrests we experienced. Now, what happens if we don't collectively come together and put forward? A lot of noise has taken place since, but we haven't seen a solution as yet from that, have we?
No, and this requires a multi-pronged approach. And one is the reason that we haven't, with due respect, is for many years we haven't addressed the potential of this issue happening in the city. So you're quite right, nothing has happened yet, but we need to build bridges with all communities, because united, we need to be stronger. Look, there's always been historically people who will come in and divide communities for their purpose, for their agenda. We're majority of us here, as brothers sitting next to me as well, in their country history as well, that people came to this community and destroyed communities. So when they came to India, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs were separated for people's own goals. And people are trying to achieve that in this country as well. So we have to be very careful that this is not allowed to happen. We rise above it.
Yeah,
we call out what is wrong is wrong, and have the conversations that we need to have, and make sure that it doesn't happen in the future.
Yesterday, a brother sat there where you are sitting, and he said, "My community," and I had to stop him. I said, "No, it's no longer your community. It's our community. Each community is our community, regardless of the 4 C's. You know, are you aware of the 4 C's? Caste, color, creed, culture. Right? Regardless of that, you have to put that aside, and we have to come together, work together with our neighbors, with our fellow community members, the wider community. If we don't reach out to each other, we don't share with each other, we will not progress further, we'll be going further backwards. So we've had interview here with Rob Nixon. He's the chief constable in Leicester. We're looking to address all these issues collectively. So we get everybody involved, and we need a solution so that if mistakes were made, how are we not going to make those mistakes again if we don't address? What we do today will define tomorrow.
We have to have honest conversations. We have to have difficult conversations. And indeed, after the riots that happened, there was a lot of soul searching. And I think we need to reach out to all communities and have these conversations.
Here's a message. I'd like you to read that.
Salam, within Leicester, especially with the riots a few months ago, what was the role of men within our city and community? What challenges did they face, if any, within the communities and the police force? Okay, so that is quite interesting question. MashaAllah, we were there from the forefront within other, along with other organizations. So it was creating the truth of the timeline of the structure that had happened. One of the first things that happened, Brother Zed, after the riots is there was a video going viral of perception of Muslims attacking people of other faiths, which was being viewed by millions of people, in particular in India. And there was an extreme social media drive after which was perpetuating that it was the Muslim community that was causing this problem against the other communities. This was not the reflection on the ground. So along with other community members, what we made sure is there was a clear timeline. And this clear timeline to show that this wasn't an acute incident. This was been brewing for months and months, and what had happened in chronological order. And this timeline was shared with media outlets from around the world. So we were interviewed by people from Russia, from China, from New York Times, from the Middle East, from Australia, and obviously our own media. There wasn't a single media outlet, including the BBC, the Sky News, ITV, who did not carry the narrative that gave a redress and a rebalance, which is especially important with the media that we were out there. And if that was one of the things that we did, was that, and also we also called upon the communities from the other faiths to come. We made a unity statement along with other organizations to ensure that going forward, we must have these difficult conversations about external factors affecting, as you said, the divide in our community, and we can only go forward once we address these or put this on their agenda table. And after which, we have done a lot of training, a lot of educating the community of what are these issues that are destroying communities overseas that we must make sure doesn't destroy our community in this country.
Of course, I'm going to share my disappointment with you, brothers. At the time, nobody was coming forward to address this issue in a very, very manner that it should have been addressed. That they should have come forward and condemned this kind of behavior, condemned it straight away, but everybody was looking at that token, call it a political agenda or just to appeasement issue. And I didn't see anybody come forward to condemn what was the reality. Up to today, I haven't seen that happen.
I think the condemnation has to be a two-way thing. One has to be very careful. It's easy to condemn without finding a solution. So condemnation was, if you saw any media interview and out that was given after the time, I think they was quite clearly addressed to the individuals that needed to be.
Now that is just one aspect of one major incident that happened in the period in September in 2022. And you have, like, my brother here is from the Somali community, and they were sat there looking to see what are these people doing. Did you find that strange, my brother?
Yeah, it was very strange, and people would also fear for themselves what's going to happen. If you see two groups on the sides of the road, and they're clashing, and they're going to fight, and we want to maintain the peace in the city, so we were shocked.
Yeah, now this is the problem. We have all these different communities, and they see brown on brown attacking each other, then what do you do, in a situation like that?
Yeah, you would want the police and somebody to come in between and stop before it escalates, because we know how easy sometimes we come from the Somali background and we know how the fights and in the country, how it happened. So if that happens here as well, it's going to cause problems here.
And this is particularly a colonial gift that for two people from the same community to fight each other, brown on brown. Back in the 70s, we were all the same. And that feeds into the hands of the right wing, that's saying, look at these people, they can't live in our country. And it feeds into their narrative and putting the government legislation. So whatever happens in our city, as I said, I was being contacted globally because it was being scrutinized and it was going to have an impact in India, it was having an impact in the UAE, it was having an impact in Australia on the ground between what is happening. So it's essential that all those that are responsible get together and make sure this doesn't happen again, because as the brother said, that this could be really, really dangerous precedent.
Of course it is, and it affects everyone. So you can see throughout the world, this news was aired, but I myself was on one particular podcast where I had to openly declare, and there was a fellow politician who was going to join me, but he didn't turn up on the day. If he's listening right now, I'm looking for you. You didn't turn up. Why? Because he was wanting to appease. And I told him, look, simply what we have to do is we have to say that anybody from outside of the city or outside of the country who's coming there, infiltrating and bringing their ideology here is not welcome. We will not tolerate any form of extremism which can lead to terrorism.
Yes.
Which will increase the racism, right? All these isms are connected, aren't they?
Absolutely, and we live in a global village, brother said. So what is happening in other countries, sometimes we think, well, it's got nothing to do with us. Oh, that's happening so far away. But then it's going to come and visit us in this country. So if we do not tackle injustices abroad, look, you're all aware of our beloved Prophet ﷺ's hadith of how the ummah is one body. If one is hurting, one part of the body is hurting, the rest of the body is hurting. So when there is injustices, whether it be anywhere in the world, if we do not help to address those, soon it will come to us here, and then there'll be nobody left to support us in this country.
So there's another message up there. Can you read that, Brother Shaukat?
Amazing work you are doing, Uncle, and the wider men team. May Allah reward you all your efforts. Zira Katrada. I mean, Jazakallah khair for your kind words, Sister Nasira.
We have not heard from the Sheikh.
Yes. Sheikh.
Sheikh, if you would like to introduce yourself, because we want you to join us. You are part of our community now, and we are part of your community. Are you ready for that?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on the program, and it was my honor to come today on the radio. And alhamdulillah, as the brother was explaining and saying, we are one community. This is our community, regardless of what faith background, what color you have. And we have to live together in peace and harmony. And whatever political and international problems shouldn't come and divide and cause problems. We already have enough problems that we're dealing with. We have our youth, that we try to save them from the drugs, from the problems. And when united, we can do a lot.
Of course. Now, my brother is from the Masjid Furqan, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Furqan. Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about Masjid Furqan so people are aware.
Yeah, Al-Furqan Center is in the Sematius area in Leicester, and is a very big center, very active, especially for the youth, providing education, Quran classes, Islamic studies, and also for the sisters, space to pray, for the brothers. And it is multicultural, multi-race, so the whole Muslim community in Leicester is welcome. And we have iftar as well. And at the moment, we are expanding the mosque to have a space for the youth. So we focus on to cater for the youth, because we know that our youth, in their free time, they need a space to come, to feel safe, to socialize, and to learn their deen, and to be nurtured, and to grow up as righteous and pious members of the society.
And can I just concur, I visited Masjid Furqan, mashallah, they do fantastic work there. I've had a few meetings there, really, really good work.
Yeah.
Community work, they're for the community.
Yes.
Now, when we are engaging with each other, I really, it is making me happy. It's a blessing when we do that. You know, when different communities engage with each other, that's exactly what here at the radio, every day we talk about that this is what we want going forward, right? Now, obviously, this project requires a lot of funding, doesn't it?
Yes. We have a project estimated with about 500,000. So far, we have collected about 200,000. We go around to different cities, different mosques, communities, even knock at the doors and street collections, because of all we try to do is to make that dream project, realize it, that we have a decent space for the youth, for education, for entertainment, for classes, and also a space for the wudu, space for the funeral services, which our city needs. We know the population. We came to this city from Somali background about 28 years ago. And alhamdulillah, what attracted was our other Muslim community that were here already. Mashallah, so many mosques, Islamic schools, shops, food, halal food, everything. I myself migrated from Holland 20 years ago. And then now the age, I was very young at that time, my early 30s. But now with the age, we feel that a lot of community parents will need the service of the funeral service as well. So that's one of the reasons that we are focusing.
Now, this is awareness that everybody in the city needs to know about. We are working very hard to bring awareness to every project currently in the city of Leicester. The more we know, the more we will be able to engage with each other, and we can help each other, support each other. Inshallah, in the future, we do want more and more people to look into creating Waqf model,
Yes.
where from the Waqf, we are creating the money to support these projects ongoing. So
Yes.
that is a discussion we need to have afterwards, my brother.
Inshallah, yeah, we would like to also have some appeals, and awareness is important because of wallahi, I think in September, October, December, we went to the local mosques, and the way we welcome it, because of sometimes when you just pray in your local mosque, and especially, oh, this is my community, I'm Somali, Bangladesh, Pakistan, from other African communities or Arab. But when we go to the mosques and we feel the brotherhood, that this masajid, especially local mosque, everyone wants you to mashallah success and to do. I show my appreciation and gratitude to the local mosques. May Allah bless them. We've been to many of them, and we're going to go and visit the rest. Local businesses, individuals, whoever wants to, especially in this blessed month of Ramadan, to contribute. Alhamdulillah, just last night, we collected about 2,000. MashaAllah. One person donated 1,000. Alhamdulillah.
Every pound makes a difference.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to take it back to Mend again. There's a message. Salams, I have heard about your Mend Media and Politics Masterclass. What are they and how can I attend?
So MEND is, mashallah, Muslim engagement and development. So we engage with the Muslim community and develop them. And two of the ways we do that is making them very proficient in how the media works and how to handle the media, because you know the media is one of the main reasons of Islamophobia in this country, and how to get involved in politics so we can be the change we want to see in the world. So we have these master classes. They're about 4 to 5 hours long, and inshallah we'll be having one very soon in the city of Leicester. Please go to mend.org.uk and contact the Leicester Working Group, or contact the radio and they'll give you my details, and inshallah we will let you know how to attend these courses, at the end of which you will be much more confident in addressing the media. Because, brothers, we get a lot of people who get very angry with the media, and they said, I've written this letter, Brother Shokar, and I've sent it to this person, and I said, great letter, it's not going to get anywhere, you've not mentioned any clauses why you should object to the report, and you've sent it to the wrong person. So just a little bit of knowledge with all the passion that we have, inshallah, will make a huge difference to the ummah.
That's what it's all about. Your knowledge is your power. Now, we would like also, my brother, I want you to introduce your name.
Fuad.
Oh, Brother
Sheikh
Fuad.
Fuad, yeah.
Sheikh Fuad, and your surname is?
Dol, Fuad Dol.
Fuad Dol.
Naam.
Now, I want you also to help us to get members from the Somali community, some young men or young girls,
Yeah.
to also join this initiative that men are offering,
Yes.
the masterclass, so that we can get different communities on the table, from the Bengali community, the Sri Lankan community, and from the Muslim community, from the Pakistani community. So
I've had packed houses with the Sri Lankan communities on those two presentations, mashallah. They're very active, our Sri Lankan community.
very active. So we bring also on board the Somali
Mashallah,
community.
definitely.
And if we all come together, this is exactly, in the month of Ramadan, we have to do things like this, because this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ wanted. When he came, the Prophet ﷺ said, all the tribes, he banished them. He says, if you don't work together, Sheikh, you can elaborate on that.
Yes, working together, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Help one another in the good and piety. وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Do not help one another in the evil. So coming together, putting hands together, and especially help the work that MEND is doing. We need to train our youth, our masajid and Marakis Islamic centers. The people there, they need to know how to deal with the media. So we need to lift it up, the level of the professionality that we deal with, the way that we follow and monitor the news outlets, the way we respond wisely is very important.
So this is all about intelligence, more even than academia. So you got to understand the difference between the two. When MEND has been established since when?
It's been 9 years.
9 years of upheavals every year. There is objections. There is so much obstruction to MEND that they don't want organizations like MEND to expand. Why? Because this is what we're up against. From establishment circles who are always, what we say, poking a finger. Yes?
Yes.
You've experienced that, haven't you?
Personally, on a personal level, on an organizational
Yeah.
level. I mean, Brother Zed, you know me, and those that are listening to me, I have been labeled as an Islamist, or whatever the word Islamist means, and with no definition, with no caveats. So people, unfortunately, get very frightened. But we work always within the law. We work within the framework that the government has set, and we then present it back to them and challenge them on their own regulations.
And this is what I'm talking about, my brother Fuhad, intelligence. Right? What he just said, repeat that, what you just said, to work within the framework of their own
Within
rules and regulations.
within the legal framework of this
Yeah.
country and
Yeah.
the regulations established by the government themselves.
Yeah, and that is how we have to operate. And that requires intelligence, not just pure academia or even the imams in the mosques. They also need support and help in what you are doing.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. And we have a lot of positive feedback from the imams in Leicester, mashallah. Over the last couple of years, it's been absolutely fantastic. More can be done, but alhamdulillah, the feedback has been fantastic.
We got another message here is saying, is man carrying out a review into the incidents that took place September the 17th?
MEND as an organization isn't, but we are feeding into a review with the information that we have. So there's a couple of reviews that are in the pipeline. And we are feeding into that, inshallah, so collating the information, the attacks that happened, the victims of it, and then that will be feeding into an independent review of what happened.
Would that review be the East Midlands review?
No,
That's being conducted by the constabularies.
No, this is going to be a review conducted by academics. That's all I can say about it at this moment in time.
From Leicester? Or from nationwide?
Nationwide. So then, therefore, nobody can touch a finger at them. It is a truly independent review.
Truly independent one.
Yes.
Now, I recall there was going to be an independent review in Leicester, and then it was squashed. Why? Because of pressure. The sheer political pressure that came by, and this is what I call it, is a vote bank pressure. Right? This is what we're up against. Now, today, I want to ask you a question, both of you. How brown are you? How brown are you? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Right? Recently, I saw a poster of our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and he looked darker than what he actually is. So now explain to me, my brothers, all you listeners who are listening out there, look at the mirror and ask yourself, how brown am I? So why is it necessary to paint a brown picture like that? What message is it giving to the one who will look at it?
You know, Brother Zed, when I'm being interviewed with you, it reminds me of that film Forrest Gump. It's like a box of chocolates. I don't know what question I'm going to get next. But alhamdulillah, it's a very important question. In terms of browning somebody or darkening somebody or portraying somebody in a picture in a certain way is done premeditated. It's very important people understand nothing in politics or art is done by accident. It is premeditated to make somebody look darker or lighter depending on the story that they want to give. So in the case that you're referring to, it was obviously regarding grooming gangs. Okay, so they are then portraying somebody much darker than they are when they're discussing grooming. And when this comes in the same week as one of our senior politicians condemned a whole community of Pakistani men as perpetrators of this crime. And let's be honest with this, Pakistani in association is only involved with one faith. Therefore, it fits into that whole narrative. And that narrative is very, very powerful because it's perpetuated by the media, the right wing, the thugs on the street. Then your government is playing a part in it. And therefore, it's extremely dangerous. And when they paint somebody darker than they are, then it's telling one story. If they're painting somebody fairer than they are, I'll give you one very good example. The massacre that happened in New Zealand, Christchurch, when the individual went in and killed on the best of days on a Friday, 52 individuals, Muslims, ranging from a 3-year-old to an 80-year-old. What was the headline? How could a blue-eyed, blonde boy turn into this? So can you see the softness and the nature of that question? How can somebody blonde and blue-eyed commit such a crime? Whereas this story is about grooming, so let's have the individual really dark, fit in with the narrative that is a certain race that does these sort of crimes.
Now, do we need this kind of gutter politics in our community, Brother Fuad?
No, we don't need. Especially our politicians, they need to refrain from this, because of this is not. And if you follow the news, then you see that even the data from the Home Office itself was showing the opposite.
So I'm going to send a strong message out to these media marketing gurus that this is not the way to treat the electorate. The electorate is not to be treated as if they were plain stupid.
Yeah,
right?
We as the electorate have to stand up against this. Sheikh is absolutely right. We do not need this, because dividing, when hate raises its ugly head, everybody gets hurt.
So all elements of divide and rule have got to be condemned. We need integration. Do we need integration, or do we need segregation?
We need integration,
right?
because divided we are much weaker, and they will pick us apart.
So
today it's our turn, tomorrow it'll be somebody else's turn.
So we will continue to exemplify a good example. This is the month of Ramadan, and we have to show the best of our Muslim culture, our Muslim tradition, our Muslim faith, that we are about integration. We are not about segregation. We are commanded to take care of 160 neighbors to the left and 160 neighbors to the right. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We are.
Sheikh, is that true?
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
So maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, subhanallah, in Islam, the neighborhood, the next door neighbor is your neighbor. The Prophet said that Jibreel was advising him until he thought that he might be one of the inheritance of his wealth. Yani, your brother, the blood brother, the neighbor is even closer than that, because of you live the same street, you share the neighborhood, you live together, the children grow together. So they have to be in a peace and harmony, that they enjoy the life together, they don't cause problems. But when you see this information, it is going to cause a fitna, problems.
So we can't effect a change in London, but what good example we as the Muslim community will put forward on the table, Brother Shaukat, will set the precedent. And we must all work together, come together from every community and join with the other communities who are non-Muslim to show them the beauty of our deen.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we can do, and I understand the point that you're trying to make, that there's a lot of things that we can work together. You know, we can have interfaith events, we can have iftari events, we can visit each other's places of worship, we can assist each other's food banks. But one of the things I alluded to earlier is that as a community, and I'm always going to talk about our community, sometimes we do not stand up for rights of other organizations, and other communities, and other needs, because we just don't think, oh, that's got nothing to do with us. But if we do not stand up for other people's injustices, then nobody's going to stand up for our injustice. There's a very famous poem at the time of Noel, his name is Noel, he was a Protestant priest at the time of Nazi Germany. First they came for the gypsies, but I wasn't a gypsy, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the trade unionists. I wasn't a trade unionist, then I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Catholics. I wasn't a Catholic, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Jews. I'm not a Jew, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for me, and I looked around, and there was nobody to say anything. So we have to stand up for everybody if we wish others to stand up for us.
And this is an example. We can put this into practice. We have 460,000 in our city of Leicester, and we have to teach our children that they have the future. And Sheikh, what actions we take today will define a better tomorrow.
I think, as you said, education is the key in schools, in madrasas, in mosques, in wherever we have the opportunity to tell the people, no matter of your background and religion and beliefs, as long as we look together in the city peacefully, we can thrive, we can reach our goals in life.
Now, this is a very kind of message we want to put out, isn't it? What the Sheikh has just exemplified there, right? So, Brother Shaukat, today we can be talking here for hours and hours, right? But we need to drive a solution forward on every program that we do here, Sheikh. We would like a solution. We want everything to be solution based. We don't want now Ramadan will come to an end. next week, Thursday or Friday, and thereafter we got 11 months until the next Ramadan comes. We don't want to be Ramadan active only. We need to get everybody together on the table, have some food, talk about things, how we can engage more and more with each other. Because our communities, when you see the stats, shall I share a stat with you?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, there was approximately 10 or 11 murders in the city.
All right.
Out of that, seven of them was perpetrated by the Muslim community. Muslim on Muslim. You will be remembering Abdul Rahim. Is it Abdul?
Last year I was in Birmingham, so I'm
Okay,
new
you
in
don't
Leicester.
remember. So this is something we have to deal with. It won't go away if we don't talk about it, we don't face up to it, Brother Shaukat.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So all these things are connected, the racism, the Islamophobia. What are we going to say then if somebody throws that stat at you? How are you going to deal with that?
No, we have to look. There's a saying that, and I apologize to those who often listen to me speak, would have heard it many a time, but I still hold it's true. It's a Chinese proverb, Brother Zed. It's very important. So the best time to plant a tree is when? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, for us to enjoy it today. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Today. Otherwise, our children and our future generation are going to have the same problems. So we need to start making changes today, as you say. Otherwise, it's just going to be Ramadan. And we have to take a multifaceted and apologize. Choose one thing that you want to change and be part of that change, whether that be interfaith work, whether it be engaging yourself in improving the state of our prison services, crime services. Become part of the system and be the change you want to see. There's so many issues. You could talk about this one stack. Let's talk about domestic violence. Let's talk about drug crimes, Muslim community involvement, etc. In that, find something. We're in a city where you have an opportunity. The Furqan Center does, the mosque does fantastic work in their community. Get together. Let's find something. Let's not become just activists for a few weeks, but let's make that change.
Now, everything has to be knowledge-based, Brother Fuad. It would be really a good idea. Today we are working. We are not talking. We are working.
Yes.
That if we collate all this data, all the stats, and we should put them there on the wall. When you are giving your lecture there in the mosque, you tell people, look, this is what's happening in our community.
Yes.
And we address it. If people don't know, they're not aware, like he said, it wasn't me. It was the gypsy. It was another community. It wasn't me. And when it was me, nobody was there for me. Right? Now, this is what I would like to do, is create that awareness and step on it. Get more and more people involved, get them involved to an extent where they have all this data and all this stat, right?
Yeah, and utilize lots of organizations who have their skill sets, and go to them and find the knowledge base and work from there, inshallah.
So, my brothers and sisters, we are coming to the end of this program, and I'm going to remind you today that once again, Ramadan FM is supporting Leicester Hospital's charity this year to create a new spiritual care centre at the Leicester Royal Infirmary. This space will be used by hospital staff, patients, and the community as a place to reflect and pray, forming part of the healing process for everyone who is going to the hospital. And this is a very important project. So, just like Masjid Furqan, this is one of our institutions, the hospital. And we need to get involved and engage. So, brothers and sisters, even if you donate £1, you've now taken ownership of that hospital. Same like Masjid Furqan.
Yes.
Don't say that I don't go to that masjid. Now I've met the brother. He's created awareness. I'm going to be coming forward to donate some funds to him from me.
MashaAllah.
And my brother Shaukat, I can see he's inspired by what I've just said. He will do the same.
Inshallah, always.
So, Brother Fuad, you have created
Jazakallah.
straight away 2 persons.
MashaAllah.
And so on.
And it's great, that, especially in the hospital, the places that people
Now,
need that.
Brother Furqan, give a quick Eid message, your name, your favorite Eid moment, and your Eid greeting right now.
MashaAllah. My name is Fuad Dol from Al Furqan Center in St. and I wish all the Muslims and the wider community a pleasant Eid.
Jazakallah khair. Now, brothers and sisters, thank you for your time with us today. Jazakallah khair. Done.
Jazakallah. Okay, can we?
Let's go.
Zed,
To
hold
my
on.
office.
Hold on. Oh no, he's going.
Welcome, Sheikh. Shaukat, nice to meet
Guys,
you.
can you stop for 5 minutes? We need to do the 8 messages individually. Can you sit?
Don't mind already. She came and
It doesn't work like that, sir. We need to have individually so we can send.
Okay.
What's the question?
I know that you did that. And we were caught.
You want Eid message, yeah?
one Eid message, yeah? He did one live.
No, I know you did one live. You shouldn't have done because then it cuts the opportunity that we want to do it
Okay.
individually.
Okay, what they're making is one.
Where's the microphones? We need the
That's
microphones
all right.
because the quality of sound is not good.
No, this sound is more better than this one.
Okay, brothers, I'm just taking a picture.
Yes.
I'll put it on Instagram, inshallah.
Okay. Thank you.
We're still coming.
So, Sheikh, you will go first. You're the prominent member of our community.
Barakallah feek.
Are you ready?
I'm ready to watch.
Great show on next.
Yeah.
Who are you going today? I missed yesterday's with Sumaya. How was that?
This one is
Catch up, you know.
This is the receipt.
She interviewed me once.
Those are mine.
Yeah, she was really
Just
nice.
use one at a time. We're going to use one at a time.
Richard Mitchell, University Hospitals of Leicester, Chief Executive. He's got some
Great, yes.
Alhamdulillah, we got some incredible guests.
Okay, guys, silent, please.
Alright. So just if you could just mention the name. Should they mention the organisation as well? Like
Yeah, could you? Yeah.
Just plug your mosque a bit, and then show.
So he can do his name,
Name.
his masjid,
Sent, yeah.
yeah. Favorite Eid moment, and Eid greetings.
Okay.
Yeah. Do it from this angle is better, I think. Said if you can, don't mind.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fuad Dol from Al Furqan Center in St. Matthias in Leicester. I want to send my Eid